The views, opinions, and presentations of the guest are not intended to establish a standard of care to be followed by the audience. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions or concerns you may have regarding your health. Furthermore, the assumptions, views, opinions, and insinuations made by the host and guest do not reflect those of the show and the management. Zach at Zydus brings you a patient care program, Health Talk, a lay forum that gives various information on illnesses and diseases with advice from medical experts. Join us live on Facebook.
Welcome sa isa na namang episode ng Health Talk, your good source of health, Health Talk. And this afternoon, it will be another interesting topic that we will have together with, of course, our guest speaker. But before that, we're saying good afternoon muna sa mga unang nag-log in sa atin. I'll be saying some names. Good afternoon kay Grace Dano, kay Miss Elena Osmeña, si Daika from Cebu na nakikinig ngayon. Good afternoon din. And kay Miss Carol Magsakay, Miss Alvin de la Cruz, si Donna na nakikinig din at nanonood na. Magandang hapon din. Jay de la Cruz, good afternoon. Kay Choi Kik, good afternoon. At also kay Alba Era, magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. Keep on sharing our link para naman ma-invite natin yung ating mga kaibigan na nakikinig ngayon. Also, I'd like to greet my friends from the entertainment industry na nakikinig ngayon. Hindi ko alam kung nakapag-login na sila, but I invited them, so later on I'll mention your name. Miss Arian Marie Balagot, good afternoon. And also kay Attorney June Bukat, magandang hapon sa iyo and thank you so much sa iyong pakikinig. Also kay Gio, sa mga friends ko, kay Bry, sino pa ba? Si Jem, at sa lahat din ng mga nakikinig ngayon, magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. Well, as I mentioned earlier, our topic this afternoon is something very interesting because all of us are going through this kind of emotion. And this is all about anger. Now, sabi nila, anger is a natural way to express our frustrations, our despair perhaps, and our disappointments. However, sometimes we tend to go overboard. So is this dangerous? So this afternoon, we invited a special guest to further dig into this type of emotion and help us go through and teach us how to tame our anger. So first, I'd like to introduce our speaker this afternoon. And our guest this afternoon is from the Queen City of the South, and that's Cebu City. She is none other than Dr. Glenda Basubas. So Dr. Basubas finished her medical degree at the Cebu Institute of Medicine. Her interest in psychiatry led her to pursue training at the Vicente Soto Memorial Medical Center, and that's formerly the Southern Islands Medical Center. She is currently diplomate of the Philippine Board of Psychiatry, a life fellow of the Philippine Psychiatric Association, fellow of the Philippine College of Addiction Medicine, and international fellow of the American Psychiatric Association. And since then, Dr. Basubas has been actively involved in the different activities in her field. So among these are her role as chair of the Philippine Mental Health Association in Cebu chapter from 2009 until today. She is also the medical specialist 2 and OIC training officer at the Vicente Soto Memorial Medical Center, Center for Behavioral Sciences, just recently, August 9, 2020. She was also PRO of the Philippine Psychiatric Association and the Philippine Psychiatric Association Chair on Committee on Advocacy, Legislation, and Multimedia. Among other involvements was the Board of Trustee of the Philippine Mental Health Association National Office, President of Cebu Mental Health Training and Services, Director of the Philippine Psychiatric Association in the Visayas, and chair of the Subcommittee on Education and Training of Non-Psychiatric Physicians and Allied Mental Health Professionals of the Philippine Psychiatric Association. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome our guest speaker this afternoon, Dr. Glenda Basubas. Hi, Doctora. Good afternoon and welcome to Health Talk. You may unmute your microphone.
Sorry.
Kumusta?
Sorry about that. Okay, so can you hear me now?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Good afternoon to each and everyone, and glad to be here and glad to talk about anger management and when it becomes dangerous. Okay, what is anger? Anger is a very powerful emotion that can stem from feelings of frustration, hurt, annoyance, or disappointment. It is actually a normal human emotion that can range from slight irritation to strong rage. And of course, aggression can be the result of anger. And as defined, aggression is the motor counterpart of an affect that is enraged. Now, there's really nothing wrong with anger per se because it is one of the strong emotions that we feel uh, sometime in our lives, no? So nobody really gets not angry. Once in our lifetime, we feel that it's a strong emotion, but as long as a well-managed anger can be a useful emotion that motivates you to make positive changes. No? So also, powerful emotion, that's anger. And if it isn't handled appropriately, it may have destructive results for you and those close to you. Uncontrolled anger can lead to arguments, physical fights, physical abuse, assault, and even self harm. So, these are just some of the physical effects of anger. Anger triggers the body's fight or flight response, and other emotions that trigger this kind of response is also fear, excitement, anxiety. It has something to do with our adrenal glands that flood the body with stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. But the brain now shunts the blood away from the gut and towards the muscles in preparation for physical exertion. So this is what we call as the sympathetic response. The heart rate, blood pressure, and respiration increase, the body temperature rises, and the skin perspires. And for some fair colored individuals, you turn red or pinkish, and the mind now becomes sharpened and even focused. Now, but anger can be dangerous, no? So what are the dangers of suppressed anger? It can result to anxiety, depression, disruptions in relationships, health issues like high blood pressure, heart problems, headaches, skin disorders, and even digestive problems. No? So it can even result to crime, emotional and physical abuse, and violence. There are unhelpful ways to deal with anger. So, like when your anger explodes, or when it's the opposite, you suppress anger. But there are also healthy ways of expressing anger. Like, for example, when you're very angry already, try to walk away from the situation temporarily until you cool down. It's sort of like taking a time out or recognize and accept that this emotion is a normal part of life, and then try to pinpoint why. Why do you feel angry? Now, once you have identified the problem, consider using the different strategies of how to remedy the situation. Like, you can also do something physical, exercise, play sport, or go for a short run. You can also talk to someone that you trust about how you are exactly feeling at the moment. Okay, so there are actually steps to help manage anger. Okay, so the deep breathing. Okay, deep breathing is like when you take the rule of five. Five counts, you deeply breathe through your nose. Count five slowly. Inhale and visualize that there is a positive energy entering your system. And then feel it in your abdominal area as it expands while you inhale through the mouth. Five counts. Then hold it in for another five counts slowly. And then slowly release it through your mouth by exhaling for another five counts. That is a deep breathing exercise. The moment you feel very angry or upset, look for a place where you can do the deep breathing. And then you can actually try to do that for about 3 times, just enough for you to cool down. Okay? Then you can also do positive thinking and positive self-talk. Okay, so like when you tell yourself, "Uh, I am feeling upset right now, but this is just for the moment. I need to relax. I need to take it easy." So say it to yourself. No? So while you are doing the deep breathing, you can also do the positive self-talk. Okay, so that's what I said. Just how you're gonna do it at that moment, and then try to stop. Stop your angry thoughts. Just stop it. No? So just tell yourself, okay, I will try my best not to go beyond so that I'll be able to control myself. Okay? Anger can also be expressed in an appropriate way, like uh, better than keeping it in. You can actually try to talk it out because anger can be very stressful to your nervous and cardiovascular systems, and it can even make health problems worse. Therefore, learning how to use assertiveness in a healthy way to express your feelings, your needs, and preferences, and by being assertive, it can be used in place of using anger in these situations. Okay? Now, you can also seek out the support of other people and try to keep a log whenever you feel angry, like a journal. Okay? Now, another way is to gain a different perspective by putting yourself in another one's place. Okay, when you get angry, okay, try and you're getting angry at somebody, try to put yourself in the place of that other person. Okay, learn how to laugh. Humor is a very mature defense mechanism. It is trying to see the things from a different point of view without hurting oneself and others. Like, for example, when you are laughing at your own mistakes, no, and then you tell yourself that, oh, that was so funny of me. Why did I do that? Why did I ever do that? Okay, so anyway, you can make the Filipinos, by the way, have this humor built in each and every one of us. Humor actually makes us endure what is too terrible to be borne. Hence, you probably notice that there are situations where we undergo a lot of calamities, but then still the Filipino is able to make a joke out of it, making things lighter without actually offending oneself or making others feel uncomfortable. Okay? Another way is to practice good listening skills. Try to listen to others. When we listen to other people, it also helps us to realize that, in fact, people also do get upset. They also have their problems. And there are times when they also don't feel really good. So we try also to express our feelings calmly and directly without becoming defensive, hostile, or emotionally charged. So then we can also help ourselves by consulting self-help books on assertiveness. And if we need to, like, learn to assert ourselves, we try to do it in a calm manner. And then if things really get the better of us and we really need help, let's not stigmatize seeking professional help. What I mean is mental professional help. Seek help from a professional therapist and learn how to use assertiveness and anger management skills. Now, what are anger management skills? Here are actually a few. No? So, I think some of you have heard of this, counting to 10. Okay, so this is very familiar for children. It's taught to them. It's a familiar childhood admonition of counting to 10 before taking action. It works because it emphasizes two key elements of anger management. That is time and distraction. It distracts you. So you count it slowly. And if you're very, very angry, okay, try to count up to 100. No? So this familiar technique of counting to 10 not only provides the time needed to delay, but it also offers a distraction from anger arousing events. So while counting it, you're counting 1 to 10, we are not mentally adding fuel to the fire. No? But actually, we try to mull over it. Counting to 10 becomes an even more effective way of disarming anger if we also take a slow, deep breath in between each number. So you can even incorporate the deep breathing in between. Now remember, the deep breathing counteracts the fight or flight response reaction. So it's usually the one that underlies anger. Deliberately try to take slow, deep breath. It does not only bring a soothing sense of relaxation, but also it will help us to focus our attention to the present moment. So this energy of anger often leads to impulsive behavior that will only aggravate an already tense situation. So that if given enough time to cool off, however, most people can learn to control initial impulses. Okay, so remember deep breathing, the one that I taught you a while ago, it counteracts the fight or flight stress reaction that underlies anger. Now, we also have the three keys to diffuse anger. So, once you become more relaxed and in control, then you are ready to respond. Respond and don't react. Okay? Make a carefully considered choice about the best course of action to take and guide your response by the three regulating principles of empathy, compassion, and assertion. So, empathy is the ability to see a situation from another person's point of view. Adopting an empathic stance opens the door to compassion by providing for a deeper emotional understanding of the source of conflict. Being compassionate in an anger arousing situation actually allows for a deliberate choice of tolerant but assertive response to solving conflict. Okay, now choose to respond assertively. And to do that is different from impulsive reaction that is acting deliberately out of anger. An assertive response is characterized by standing up for our legitimate rights, but it does so in a manner that will not violate the rights of others. Assertive behavior is a direct, honest, and appropriate expression of feelings and beliefs that helps to establish understanding, consensus, and cooperation. Next is, of course, compassion. Okay, so when you are uh, having compassion, then you feel others, you understand others. And then the assertion is the one that I told you and I mentioned a while ago, that assertive behavior is a direct, honest, and appropriate expression. You express this honestly, your feelings, your belief, but without really trying to impress yourself too much on others. No, so it actually helps to establish understanding, consensus, and cooperation. The next is take one step back. So to make sure that you actually understand what you're angry about, try paraphrasing or clarify what the other person says to you. No, like, because this actually allows you to make sure that you did not misunderstand the message. It focuses your brain on thinking and not reacting. Okay, so like for example, you can like we can refer it to a timeout. Okay, so you can tell the other person when you're very angry and you want to take a timeout. Can we discuss this later? No, so you can say that to the other person, or you can say, can I get back to you on that? By saying that, you're actually buying time to control your feelings. You can use that time to, let's say, take a short walk, or let's say if you have stairs in your office, you try to climb a flight or two stairs just to calm down. Or you can do the technique of the deep breathing. No? So another also way of breathing in mindfulness, which we will talk about later, is what we refer to as affectionate breathing. No? So in affectionate breathing, it's like you take a deep breath, and then when you breathe out, you couple it with a sigh. Like you say, you can touch your chest area, breathe in, and say, hi. Okay, so that is affectionate breathing. No? So being kind to yourself. And then we have, of course, the 5 steps forward. Okay, so there is a therapist, Mark Gorkin, in Washington, D.C., who actually made this 5 step method for uh, constructive confrontation. No? So the 5 steps forward. Okay, so number one is using the I communication. Okay, here we will, I think we will discuss this later after this slide, the 5 steps, and then I will mention a bit about the mindfulness based stress reduction exercise, which is actually marked by being open and curious about one's feelings without judging it, just staying in the present. It will create a heightened focus of consciousness of sensory stimuli, like focusing on one's breathing and at the same time feeling the bodily sensations, and an increased awareness of and attention to the present at the moment, as opposed to dwelling in the past or projecting one's thoughts way forward into the future. Okay, so that's mindfulness. And then don't forget physical exercise at least 30 minutes every day because that is actually all the body needs. Now, why do we need to pump our body 30 minutes daily? It can be done by dancing. You can, if you like to do the Zumba dance, you like to do calisthenics, you like to do the brisk walking. Okay, just do that 30 minutes every day. That's all our body needs. You don't really have to go to the gym and work it out to death, no, lifting all those weights. No, our body only needs 30 minutes every day. That that is all it takes for the endorphins, which is found in our brain, to be released. And then the endorphins actually stimulate us. It is the natural antidepressant of our body. But it can only be released if we exercise. So that is why it's very important to do physical exercise 30 minutes every day. Okay, and then, of course, practice, 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 because practice makes perfect. Okay. Oh, the five-step method. So I'd like to discuss this separately because I'd like to expound on it. No? So accordingly, this was postulated by therapist Mark Gorkin from Washington, D.C. Now, I think some of you might be familiar of the I communication. Okay? Use the I statement question. Like, for example, I'm concerned. I'm confused. I'm frustrated. These are the good ways to begin your exchange. Why? Because when you use the I communication, you start out by expressing yourself. No? So expressing oneself, how we feel, and then in a way, you're not gonna make the other person feel defensive. The you communication is like when you say you never get to work on time. Okay, so that's you communication. Okay, or so instead you can be specific. Okay, so you say, okay, so you start with a statement. Oh, you know what? I'm really concerned because I've asked you 3 times this week for the status of the report, and I haven't received any report or any response. May I know what's going on here? So you see, you are now, number two, describing the problem specifically. So you start with the I. What are you feeling? I feel concerned. And then describe the problem. Because, I've asked you already 3 times this week about that report, and then I haven't received any or even a response from you. So may I know what's going on here? So you see, so you're actually also, you need to explain why you are upset. Okay, so like because I didn't receive the report on time, I wasn't able to present it at the meeting, and we had to postpone making a decision. Okay, that's the effect. Okay, so the expectation, we really need that data. I want to meet with you tomorrow morning, let's say 9 a.m., so that we can discuss where you are now at this project. Okay, so you see, uh, you are now describing the problem, you are explaining why you are upset, but you are not blaming the other person. Huh? Remember, try to take note of what I'm telling you. Okay, and then acknowledge the other person and ask for input. Meaning to say, you let the other person know that you have some understanding of what he is actually going through. For example, you tell the person, I know you're working on several important projects. Now tell me what's on your plate. then we'll try to set priorities and probably upgrade the importance of this project. Okay, so you see, you are acknowledging, like, I know you're very busy, but we need to set priorities. So maybe, can you tell me something where I can help you? Maybe you have too much on your plate right now, and we can try to discuss about it so that we can prioritize this project. See, is that too much to handle? I mean, if you're the person being told that, will you react negatively? I don't think so. Because the other person, now you are actually telling the person that you are concerned. You're describing what's happening now. You're explaining why you're upset. There's a reason. You're not taking it personally. In fact, you are acknowledging the other person and you're asking for input. And then when all is done and explained, after listening, then try to let go. Okay? Once you've engaged in your first four steps, you can be more objective and then let go of any existing anger, hurt, feelings, or even questionable assumptions. Okay? Hope you get this one, huh? Okay, let's go back also because I mentioned about the mindfulness based stress reduction exercise. Okay, as what I mentioned earlier, mindfulness is actually a state that is being marked by openness and curiosity about one's feelings as opposed to being judgmental about them. It creates a heightened level of consciousness of your sensations by focusing on your breathing and then increase awareness and attention to the present moment, right here, right now, rather than dwelling on the past or thinking too much about the future. That is mindfulness. Mindfulness actually is helpful because once you practice that, it is very effective in reducing anxiety and stress. It will develop your concentration skills and it will also enhance focus attention on one's own thoughts and perceptions. Okay, so here are actually some mindfulness based stress reduction exercises. Now, just remember that there are actually two main components of mindfulness, that is, the self regulated attention and being open to the experience. Okay, so self-regulated attention means it involves your being conscious of your surroundings at the present moment. No, you focus on your thoughts, your feelings, your surroundings. Don't judge them. Just feel them. Think about it. Okay, and then among other things, you practice self-regulated attention in order to improve your concentration skills. And then just be open to the experience. Don't judge it. Okay? So let's take one exercise, the mindful hand awareness exercise. Okay? Now with your hands, you clasp your hands tightly, count slowly, 1 to 10, and then after the count of 10, slowly release your hands and then try to feel the sensation. Just try to feel the sensation, how it is, how it makes you feel at the very moment. Okay, so after grasping your hands, pay attention to how your hands feel and keep your attention focused on the feeling as long as you can. Okay, so next will be mental focus exercise. Okay. This is quite hard to do, especially if you're doing it for the first time. But the more that you practice it, you'll get the hang of it. Okay, so how do you do that? Stare at one particular object. Try to stare at one particular object and try to remain focused on just that object for as long as possible. In other words, you try to keep a mental watch on when your mind starts to wander. Now, when it does, don't worry. That happens, no? It always wanders, especially if you're doing this for the first time. Just bring it back to the object. And then the longer that you can remain focused, the more your mindfulness will increase. So you think about so many things about that particular object that you are looking at. No? So wherever you are, no, you might be at the bank waiting for your turn and it takes so long. There's a long line, so this can be one of the mindful exercise you can do. You look at a particular object, no, and try to focus your attention on that object for as long as you can. Okay, so think of all the possibilities that will only center to that object. Like, what is the color of the object? Okay, wondering how it must have been made, who made that, how it makes you feel. Okay, so all the things that you can think, but then it will focus on that object alone. As what I said, it's quite difficult at first because your mind will wander, and that's the natural thing to do of a mind. It wanders, but just bring it back again to that object. Okay. Next, we have the musical stimuli exercise. Now, this one is easier to do. Try to listen to your favorite song. Pick up a favorite song. You may have so many favorite songs. Pick up one and pay attention while listening to it on how it makes you feel. No? What emotions stir? Okay? Try to remember. Do you remember? Okay, so what memories come up and how those memories make you feel? Engage in that emotion and see where they lead. Now, sometimes music can bring back sad memories. Remember, we are not here to judge. You do not judge memories. If you feel like crying while remembering that memory, okay, go ahead. Let it flow. Let the tears flow. This is a part of your past. This is a memory. Tell yourself that. And feeling sad for that memory is part of your life, but it will not define your life at all. So you can do the music. This is actually easier to do because when you can easily relate memories with music. Okay? They might even be happy memories and they're gonna make you smile, and that's okay. So that's why there are emotions that can be stirred here. But what's important is you are trying to focus on these emotions and trying to let it flow where and whenever it leads you. The next is the undivided attention exercise. Sometimes I tell my patients this. Also, I teach them do something around the house that you've never done before and do it with utter and undivided attention. So, is there anything that you haven't done? Look around in your house, especially during the ECQ. Okay, so there's not much to do. So look around. Maybe there's a cabinet there that you have not rearranged yet ever. So try rearranging the contents inside. That's good. Okay, and you just try to pay attention to what you're doing. Don't try not to get distracted. And then finally, you have the full sensory awareness exercise. Okay, so this is second to the last. So what you do there is wherever you are, just stop for a while, look around, and if it is safe to do so, try to become aware of everything that your senses pick up. No? So probably you get out of your house. If you have a garden, you're walking there in the garden, and then try to take note, make a mental note of everything that you see, you touch, and then how do you feel? Do you feel overstimulated? Do you feel happy? Do you feel anxious? All these feelings, make a mental note and then keep on observing. Observing without judgment. Okay, and then if everything else is really too much for you while you're doing so much stressful things, just stop. STOP. I learned this in mindful self-compassion. No? So just stop for a while, take a deep breath, then observe what you feel, observe what you're thinking, and then you proceed. Okay? Don't forget to be compassionate to yourself. Like, for example, if you're feeling something very negative, then you can observe that emotion, feel it, and then you can tell yourself that this is a very difficult situation. But then try to connect it with common humanity. Difficulty, hardship, and suffering is part of everyday life. And then wish yourself well. That's being compassionate, no? May I be relieved of all these heartaches and hurt feelings. Okay, so wishing yourself well. Okay, so that's mindfulness, short overview of mindfulness for you. But actually, this is a course. You know, it takes days, and if you want to really know more, it can even take weeks. Then here we have coping statements that probably can help. You tell yourself, I can't accomplish anything by blaming other people, even if they are responsible for the problem. So, okay, I'll try another angle. Okay? And then afterwards, you can also say something like, will this matter 5 years from now? What about 5 hours? What about 5 minutes? Okay, so you can cope with that statement. Or another is by telling yourself, if I'm still angry about this tomorrow, I'll deal with it then. But for now, I'm just going to cool. Okay? Or you tell yourself, acting angry is not the same as showing that I care. Or you can say, let me ask rather than tell. Or I listen rather than talk. Or the fastest way is not necessarily the best way, except in a life or death situation, and this is not one of them. Okay? Now, arguments. So, when you deal with arguments, well, try to stay calm and communicate openly and honestly because arguments are most often the cause of anger. It might be helpful to ask somebody there to be with you, to give you support when you say you make the call afterwards, or you can tell the person directly how you feel as a result of their opinion, but avoid, always avoid trying to tell them how they feel because we can never say that for them. Only they can say that. And remember that it is possible to agree and to disagree. You can agree to disagree. No? You could even ask a trusted third person to act as a go between. You can ask this trusted third person to act as a go between and to help both of you get another view on the argument. Okay, so that's how you deal with arguments because there are actually reasons why we need to deal with arguments. It will give you a sense of achievement and make you feel positive. No? So in a way, it allows you to express yourself. And then afterwards, you may feel more relaxed, healthier, and more able to get a good night's sleep. You may develop stronger relationships, and then ultimately, you may then feel happier. Okay, so, with that, hopefully, I am able to share some points of view about dealing with anger because there are times when anger can be dangerous.
Thank you very much, Dr. Glenda Basubas, for that very interesting topic on anger management. And I learned a lot this afternoon as well. Alam mo, hindi tayo spared dyan sa mga bagay-bagay nito, no? While we wait for
Mm-mm.
questions from the audience, which later on will be entertaining some of those questions, let me just summarize all the things that you have said. Now, you started with identifying some causes of anger, and then
Mm-hmm.
I like the way on how you followed it up with some anger management skills. And mindfulness is something new to the lay. Hindi lahat nakakaalam nito, no? Mindfulness-based stress reduction exercise. Meron pa ng mga ganun, no? And music
Mm-mm.
can play a role as well. And,
Mm-hmm.
well, eventually, totoo yun, no? Sometimes music can influence our emotions as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's
Coping
right.
statement that can help us dealing with arguments. It is also a very interesting point that you laid out. And I think if we can all apply this things sa ating buhay, Doctor, the world will be a better place to live in, di ba? Imagine mo, syempre hindi natin maiiwasan, we get upset, but then prior to to doing some confrontation, if we will think about these steps, then it would be different. Na siguro, we will not say something that will hurt someone at the end of
Mm-hmm.
the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes.
okay, anyway, just to jumpstart this open forum, here's some of the questions now while waiting for the questions from our audience. The
Mm-hmm.
first question would be, what can we do about a trigger that we do not control, yet it
Mm-hmm.
can cause us to be angry? Paano yun, Doktor? Di ba
Mm-hmm.
may mga triggers na hindi na uncontrollable?
Ayun, dun ka na mag-start. Like for example, you can take a break. I'd advise you to take a breather first, no? Instead of, remember, you respond, you don't react,
Mhm.
right? Okay, so what you're gonna do, take a time out. No, if you can take a breather, so try to talk yourself positively, do the breathing exercise, and then tell yourself, okay, relax, take it easy. This is just a trigger. I need to do something about it. What will I do? Okay, ask yourself, why am I angry at this trigger? I find a reason, and then once it's there, then you can try to do something about it. No? So there are really people who can also provoke you. No? So these people can be also called triggers. Okay, so now, but it's better to try your best to really find ways and means how to express your anger in a more positive way. Now, if you can do the timeout thing well and good. No, but if not, you can also try to seek the support of others. If you have a confidant, no, you can contact the confidant if possible. Then try to talk. Oh, you know what? Andito na naman yung nakakos sa aking ano. Dito na naman in front of me. My goodness. Okay, so you're gonna talk to that person, and then usually the person can give you that support, no? And then if you have really trouble realizing when you have these angry thoughts, you can also make a log, no? So you can bring a small notebook, and then you can log it like a diary. Like today I met so and so, today I was triggered by this. At the end of the day, you can look at that, look forward, and then try to practice and learn how to gain a different perspective by trying to put yourself also in the shoes of that person or the one who caused you the trigger. So why do you think you get triggered? Or ano kaya nangyari din sa kanya? What's happening to this person? Why does this person really bother me or trigger me? And then try to understand also, okay, so uh, he must have been having a bad time with his family. Okay, because let's say you've learned that he just got separated from his partner. Maybe that's one reason, and this person is trying to displace his frustrations on you. Displacement, no, you're being used as a substitute to convey his true emotions, which is probably hatred, frustration, all those things. Okay, so there are many ways of dealing when you get the trigger. You just have to. You can either also choose mindfulness if you want to, the ones that we were talking a while ago.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Doctor. Okay, here's a very interesting question from Miss Divine Grace Balintong. Ang sabi niya dito, how about po yung anger sa isang sitwasyon na matagal na nangyari, pero pag naalala mo, nagagalit ka pa rin?
Oh, that's where mindfulness can really help you. No?
Mhm.
Remember, when those memories come back, no, we call them actually like let's say a backdraft. Do you know what a backdraft is in mindfulness? It's actually like, imagine a room is on fire and suddenly you open that and it's going to cause sudden release of the flame. No,
Mhm.
parang ganun yung term na backdraft. So like, you did not intend to do it. Let's say you saw the person probably, and then you got reminded of that emotion. Naku, ito talaga yung taong nakaano sa akin. And then you get angry. Okay, remember that is a backdraft. So
Mhm.
you can do the what I also mentioned shortly a while ago, the affectionate breathing. You can deep breathly and then touch your chest area and just make a good sigh and say hi, hi. No? So and then you can tell yourself, well, that was the past. I was hurt during that time, but that experience made me a stronger person. Because there are only two ways of viewing your past. Let's say you learn from it or you get stuck in it. Which one will you choose? So that's where you can also make your choice. No? So if you look at it, we're talking about the paradigm shift actually. Are you seeing the glass as half empty or half full? Ganon, no? Just tell yourself. Okay, so look at it from a different perspective. And what I'm saying is, look at it from a positive point of view. What that experience made you. Okay? It made you learn a good lesson. It made you a stronger person. And that was the past. You were hurt, but being hurt is part of humanity. And then tell yourself kindly, be compassionate to yourself, that may I be free from that hurtful experience. So that's one way. That's mindfulness actually works very nicely in situations, especially I would agree with anger management, but it will take time. Just like any mode of it needs practice.
Mhm.
So even this one, the anger management skills, you still need to practice them daily. And don't feel bad if you stumble once in a while. So you fall into it. Well, stand up, and then move forward. It's okay. Give yourself a pat in the back, and it's okay. It's okay. I'll do it better next time. Yeah? Don't judge yourself na napakabobo ko talaga. Why was I so stupid? I was so crazy. Now you are already insulting yourself, and that's not nice. You're not being compassionate to yourself. No? By being compassionate to oneself, remember it's like a mirror. It will reflect what you project will reflect. Meaning to say, if you're trying to project that you are compassionate, that you understand, it reflects back to you. People will also start understanding you. People will also start becoming compassionate to you. But if you're so grumpy, you're so masungit, no? So it will also reflect back. Remember, it's like a mirror. What you project reflects. Kaya nga, when it goes back to you, people also don't like you. They don't want to be with you. No? They see that negative energy. I mean, they feel that negative energy, no, in you. So why do we have to get stuck with that? No, when in fact we can always choose to see the brighter things in life. But it's not gonna be perfect though. It's gonna take time, it's gonna take practice, it's gonna take effort. Okay?
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. I think the main takeaway that I learned is you look at it at a different point of view, no? Eh, nakaraan na yun eh. So you better
Mm-mm.
focus on ano yung learning na nakuha mo doon. Thank you for that
Mm-mm.
question. We still have room for 2, 3 more questions, Doctor, and the questions just keep on coming in. Uh,
Okay.
yeah,
Shoot.
I'll greet muna Dr. Lita Medina, Dr. Beth Santos. Maraming salamat po sa inyong panonood. Attorney June
Ah!
Bukat.
Hi,
Maraming salamat po din.
Lita. Hi, Beth. Nice seeing you here. Thanks for listening and watching us.
Okay, so we have another question from Zahir JV Nawalgayak, and he's asking, paano po, Doc, kung yung mga taong nagagalit hindi open for changes and those coping mechanism? What can we do about it to help him or her?
Okay, so if this is your friend and you want to help this friend, now what you can do really is to use the eye communication. Now, you reach out to this friend and then use the eye communication. I'm really concerned because lately your the anger that's just being expressed or there's already a lot of effect in uh, the efficiency in our project. So you don't take it personally, but what is actually the impact of what's happening. And then, of course, after that, you explain about your concern and that you are ready, you're just right here, I'm just right here, I'm willing to listen, and maybe we can talk about it. No? And then if you can convince, better yet, if you can convince this person to get professional help, then yes. Now, if everything else all fails and this person really just goes back to be the Mr. Grumpy or the Miss Grumpy that that person is. Now, so always remember that you can only do so much. It takes, the person himself to really or herself to have that sense of insight, the awareness, no, of accepting that there is a problem here and I need to do something about it. In fact, that is the first basis of how you can prognosticate a therapy, a psychotherapy, because during therapy we can tell if the patient is able to identify that there is something wrong in my life and I need to do something about it. That's a good sign because it means that this person wants to be helped, but there are really other people who really don't want to be helped. No? But you can adjust the situation. You cannot be that person all the time. You can only help and go so much. The other person also has to do something on his or her part. So, but it's nice for you to be concerned for that person, of course.
Yeah, at least yung effort mo, Doctor, you were able to put it across, no?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to that person. Okay, another question from Mr. Domiciano Hongo. He said, how can I release my anger without harming anything or divert in a positive way?
Oh yes, no. So if you like to express it, you can engage in a sport. Okay, that's one. You can do exercise. Okay, you can do even calisthenics. We always try to do something like the first thing, aside from the breathing exercises, is to do something physical. So you can try to sublimate, rechannel these negative impulses into something productive. Now we call that sublimation, which is again a very mature defense mechanism. You try to rechannel the negative impulses into something useful, socially acceptable. Like for example, you do sports or you do exercise, then what is the positive effect there? It makes your body healthy. It keeps you fit. And then it also releases those endorphins in your brain that's the natural antidepressant actually. Now you can try to improve your lifestyle. You need to have coping mechanisms. If you feel like okay, I'm going to sing my heart out because when I sing, then ma-release na yung anger ko. No? Or maybe you can have a punching bag, no, at home, and then you can displace, no, rechannel those impulses. No? So actually, that's one way also of releasing anger, no, the punching bag technique. No? So you hit the bag and at the same time feel the anger that's being released from you. No? Or there is this eating place, I don't know, Forts, I think you know that somewhere in the south, going to Manila, that uh, you can release your
Yeah,
anger by throwing plates.
parang taksyapo yata. Well, meron
No?
din sa North, no? Tarlac,
Oh,
meron place.
oh yeah, to Tarlac.
Oo.
Yeah, I think that's where. I remember that, no? And then you shout and you curse whatever you say, and you throw that, no? But there's also a way, like, but this you can do if you are living in a far place. Like you can shout your heart out. You can go to the beach and just shout it, no? Just let it out, no? So there are so many ways of relieving it. Okay, so
Okay, Doctor, we have room for one question. Although ang dami mga questions dito, I can send these questions to you. So if you can answer this, I can put it in, I can send this back to the one who asked the question. But for the
okay.
interest of time, here's our last question. Paano kapag yung anger niya nakakasakit na ng kapwa physically? Like, na-release na naman yung anger niya through typing it and saying it, but still gusto niya pa rin na ma-release physically, like punching it. That's coming from Miss Jules Bueno.
Like okay, so you already said it, but then gusto mo pa rin siyang ano, no?
Yeah,
So
oo.
well,
Nanggigigil ka eh.
I think you really need professional help, no?
Ah,
When you're already like that. So, sometimes you cannot do it alone. But then if it's still eating you up, you really there's no harm in trying to look for professional help. No, you'll be taught better coping mechanisms. Like the CBT alone, the cognitive behavioral therapy, so it's actually focusing on your mind, your emotions, and your behavior. So it's like the mind, what thoughts enter your mind will command how you feel and affect how you behave. Parang ganun yon. But it's going to be a form of therapy. It will help you deal better with all those pent up emotions and how to come up with a better coping technique. So that's why I say to you, you ask for professional help. Kasi you just can't do CBT in one sitting. No, it's going to be a series of sessions. And many psychologists and psychiatrists are trained in this. So get some help. No? Kung di mo na talaga kaya, or else you're gonna end up hurting somebody, and then what? You'll get into a legal, situation. And remember, uh, walang ano there's no regret that comes first. So you'll regret it after. So if you notice, you're aware that you're like this, you go ahead and ask for professional help na. No? Kasi there are always solutions.
yeah. Well, maraming salamat, Dr. Glenda Basubas, for spending time with us this afternoon on Health Talk. And it's really a great privilege to have with us in the show. And thank you so much, Doctor. I hope we can invite you again soon in our next
Definitely.
topics.
Sure, it's my pleasure, Forts. Thank you
Yeah.
also for inviting me here. And hopefully, we were able to impart some knowledge, skills, and probably ways of coping with anger before it becomes too dangerous to handle. Thank you.
Maraming salamat, Doctor. Mga kaibigan, thank you so much as well for staying with us in the past hour sa ating Health Talk program. My take on this is, before saying anything, just isipin niyo lagi, no, kung yung magiging resulta ng galit niyo dun sa sa kapwa-tao, no? If sabi nga kanina ni Doctor, if this is something that will affect you in the next 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, think about it, yung magiging impact nito sa ibang mga tao. So every day is a learning process. We just scratched the surface of this topic. There's more to talk about anger management. but at least no, we have started this topic and we have learned something today. So maraming salamat once again sa inyong lahat. And before I say goodbye, I would say thank you muna, and maraming salamat din sa panonood kay Dr. Anthony Piano. Thank you so much. And of course, sa mga kaibigan din natin, sa isa sa mga top video reactor ng Pilipinas, kay Gio Monreal, kay June Bukat, kay Kichi, kay Brian Ken, kay Paolo from Indonesia, BP from LA, from Donna Rose from Dubai, and kay Jem. Jem, mag-aaral ka na mabuti, ha? Okay, maraming salamat. And I'll be leaving you with a video, music video from Musica Tria that's entitled The Sound of Music. My name is Fortune, saying goodbye. God bless you and have a great weekend.
A dream that will meet all the love you can give every day of your life for as long as you small and white, clean and bright, you look happy to meet me. Blossom of snow, may you bloom and grow forever. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, bless my homeland forever. Blossom of snow, may you bloom and grow forever. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, bless my homeland forever.
Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things. Girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes, snowflakes that stay on my nose and eyelashes, silver white winters that melt into springs. These are a few of my favorite things. When the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel
that will need all the love you can give. Every day of